Today we're going to talk about debt validation, namely debt validation letter. Now, the FDCPA, or the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, does not really give a clear definition of what validation means. So because of that, nothing is a good validation when I get it. No matter what they send me, it doesn't matter. Unless they send me the original contract with my wedding signature or a certified copy certified by the custodian of records of the company that is claimed to be the original creditor and the letter of assignment, nothing constitutes validation in my book. Everything else, it just doesn't matter. It's just paper they're sending you, trying to trick you into paying them. So the debt validation we're going to talk about, there are lots of debt validation letters, but all of them should have certain elements to them. This one that I've created has done with a couple, some studying and seeing different things with court cases I've helped people with and help people win. And we keep putting the issues you run into, we started beefing up the debt validation a little more. So no matter where you are in the process, if you have a debt collector, if you don't know their address or anything, pick up the phone next time they call and get that information so you can send them that letter. The letter is vital. It is very vital. Now, also, we're doing all this for two reasons, or one of two reasons. You want to get them off of your back so you can kind of free up your phone and not be scared to pick it up, or to sue their ass. I recommend going for the latter and suing, because if you go on the website, you'll see that we already got checks from people who have sued debt collectors successfully and getting paid from that. So I say go for the offensive. Screw this defensive stuff. It doesn't take a 3-step process or any administrative process. One letter, and you start recording every time they call you. Let's get into the aspects of the debt validation that need to be there. And so from there, you can really craft your own, or anything you see online, you understand that needs to be there, and that's it. Some of them letters are very long, and they have extra information. It's just really a waste of time. And some of them are just one-pagers. Some of them may be too short. They don't have very essential elements, especially if you're going for the lawsuit. All right, so this is a debt validation letter. We're going to go over all the parts and why they're important. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to glaze over it because you can read it for yourself, obviously. So the intro, fill out the parts that you need to fill out and put in your information. Don't forget to do that step. Make sure that it's filled out so they don't get a thing that says recipient's name here. It just looks bad. It doesn't take away from the validity of the document, but just make sure it's filled out. So the first part, thank you for your request, is just saying I'm not refusing to pay. That we're just looking for some information. So we have the disclosure that we want them to fill out the debt verification disclosure request form, which is in the paragraph we mentioned that. The third paragraph, it starts talking about the difference between validation and verification. Some people say there is no difference, but if you do enough research, you'll see there is a slight difference. One is about an address and one is about proof. So I think that's the big difference. The fourth paragraph really is just kind of like a threat, whatever. The fifth paragraph talks about them waiving all claims if they don't disclose the information or, fulfill our request. But the last paragraph is the meat and potatoes. This is really, especially when you're talking about a lawsuit. So what we found out is during our lawsuit process is that there's a statute of an FCC ruling where they made an express consent the same thing as an implied consent. So if you've given the original creditor your number, then you've also given a third party your number, even if they don't have a letter of assignment or anything. It's just automatic because of that FCC ruling. However, half the states rule that all you have to do is orally refuse to be called, and the other half of the states say it must be written. So if we write it in the letter, it covers all the states. So this is why we've written this. And I'll read this paragraph, I will read because this is where we put the teeth in it. So lastly, I hereby withdraw any prior consent, either expressed or implied, for you to communicate with me in any form other than writing, for right now. In the event that you cannot properly validate the debt, then you are demanded to cease and desist communications in all forms regarding this matter. Any communication from you and or any agent, subsidiaries, etc. will be regarded as willful neglect along with any other applicable violations, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law if deemed necessary. Govern yourself accordingly. That basically means we're going to sue the hell out of you if you do not validate this debt and you contact us again. Period. That goes around that FCC ruling. Now, we've also found another way around the FCC ruling, and actually that's going to be in our next video where we talk about how we get around that FCC ruling, which I'll tell you is 3 words. I don't recall. So from that I don't recall, we use that in a request for admittance where they sent us a request for admittance. And in that they said, admit that you gave the original creditor your number. Now, we could admit that. And then they would probably whip this statute out, this FCC ruling out and say, this is why you owe us the money, and this is why now you have to pay legal fees and all this other stuff, and they'll probably start countersuing and all that. But first, they need us to admit that. So because that was like so many years ago, we just don't remember. Politicians use this line, gangsters, criminals, rappers, they all use the same line, so it's good for us too. So now that you understand a debt validation letter, anytime a debt collector contacts you, you fire that thing off. If you're in the middle of debt collectors already calling you, fire it off. It doesn't matter that their letter says if it doesn't get validated within 30 days, then you owe the debt. That's some type of acquiescence. Who cares? Fire that letter off. If the statute of limitations is up on this debt that you're trying to collect, you know what? Fire the letter off anyway, because this sets you up so you can sue them. And you can get paid from these debt collectors. A debt collector calls you and they end up paying you. I think that sounds like a very good thing. So we go over how to sue the debt collectors, and we have all that on the website. So you can go over there and sign up for our mailing list and get all that information. So the main point of this is that you need to take back control of your life. You should be able to use your phone freely without worrying about anyone's secret numbers and hanging up. You should be able to pick up the phone no matter who is calling, because you know how to handle them. So debt collectors start calling, pick it up, talk to them. Figure out what's going on if you don't have the information, so you know who to send your debt verification letter to. That's debt verification. That's it. There are tons of templates out there, but those important things need to be in there. So no matter where you are, fire that thing off. It's just going to set you up for what you need. Whether your goal is just to get them to stop calling you or you're to set them up to sue. Go on the website, download the template, sign up for the mailing list, leave your comments below. This is Executive Trustee Training.